guys, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you. And we're on another show of Inspirations for Your Life. First, I do want to say thank you to everyone because we are doing great. We are actually right now at our numbers. I mean, just looking at them 5 minutes ago before going on air, we're at 83,000 downloads. That's incredible. Our goal is to have 100,000 by the end of Q1. We're almost a tiny bit away to 90. So I don't think that'll definitely be a problem for us by March. So anyway, I do want to thank you for continuing to keep watching the show because we have some great guests coming up. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to let you know how we roll. We start with a Saturday with a master topic. We roll all the way through the week and we finish up on a Friday. If you're new here, grab your smartphone and scan the QR code. But if you're watching me on TikTok or Instagram, one of those things, and you can't see the QR code, well, then just go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations, which I know you guys will love so very much. Also, when we hit 100,000, we'll be opening our waves up here for local and national advertisers. Again, we're great for people that want to connect with business owners, serial entrepreneurs, and who would that be? Service providers, right? That could be global. All right, guys. So I want to tell you a little about who I am. So I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And yes, I am a podcast host and a podcast coach specializing in helping people tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. Now, I typically do this with companies that bring in 10 million or more. And I'm just very passionate about finding people's stories, whether that's a story that they know about or it's a story that I have to figure out. But again, I do it all from truth, from the core of truth. So let's get right into this show, shall we? Because I'm really excited. So tonight's master topic, or I say the master topic of the week, but the master topic of the week is basically about top down and bottom up. So the episode tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Leadership Unveiled, Decoding Success with a top-down versus a bottom-up approach. And we're continuing to work on this, right? So the first thing is, what is a top-down approach? Now, a top-down approach is what's typically found in most corporations as an organizational strategy, and a lot of industries use it. You might be asking, what does it mean? Well, it means that everything starts at the top from executive management. And then once it filters down, it goes way down, but there isn't a lot of control at the lower levels. So there are things we need to talk about when we think about the top-down strategy, okay? Business refers to, this is a method of analysis that starts from the general big picture or the high-level perspective and then proceeds down to the more detailed or the granular specific levels of analysis. So a couple aspects of top-down that you may or may not be aware of. One is the fact that it's called the big picture perspective. Because why? We start with the big picture. That's the big thing. And for instance, it's analysis of the macroeconomic factors, industry trends, market dynamics, and then the company's broad objectives. Refinement. Let's take a look at the general landscape because that's all understood. We don't get too deep with it. And the analysis focuses on the more specific factors such as business units, product lines, and other company operations. Okay. That is the big picture, the big idea of the top-down strategy. And so management driven. So it's top-down strategy. It often originates from the organization's C-level executives, the upper echelons, as we call them, quote unquote. The management sets the standard for the goals, the strategy, the promises, and how they're going to flow down to various levels of the organization for execution. If they're even going to flow down, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to stay with them. Forecasting and budgeting. In finance, a top-down approach may involve starting with the economy and the market when creating an investment strategy or a budget, and then the focus on industry sectors and finally on specific companies within those sectors. So I think that's pretty cool. Now you might be asking, well, how do you develop one? Well, so you have to understand the business environment, right? You start by analyzing the macroeconomics and the microeconomics levels. You can look at political, economic, and social, technological, and environmental and legal factors. We call this PESTEL for short. Again, it's political, economic, social, technological, and environmental and legal factors. And those are the things that can influence your business. So understanding these will help you greatly to form an accurate picture of the external factors impacting your organization. Divine vision and mission. I think this is really key, that we have to know what our mission is. We can't, start out on a trip and hope we're going to lead in the right direction, right? So again, we're talking about the top-down approach. Something else we might want to talk about is the fact that, there's high-level objectives, right? Based on missions and different types of promises and goals they might set. They use something called SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant. Okay. And jobs are changed and completed by a higher authority. So even though some things might filter down, everything is basically done at the higher level, and they're the ones that do the final impacts, right? So very minimal might filter down, and there might be some challenges in communication because there's not a lot of transparency. It's like, well, corporate says this, or the higher level says this, but hey, you don't see how we're operating our trucks every day. You don't understand what it's causing the little guys down here to have to do. You don't understand why the customer's unhappy. You don't understand because you're up in your chairs and you're never down here with the customers, with the clients. Come down here for one day and then tell us if you have the same perspective and you want to operate the same way. And I guarantee you won't. Employees will receive specific tasks with the top down versus the bottom approach. So, they'll be delegated out by upper management, and the tasks delegated by upper management may not necessarily be the best for them, but it's going to be what they choose, regardless of what the people want or they don't want. Communicate the strategy. Okay, the strategic plan is being ready. Communicate to everyone, the entire organization, and it's crucial in the top-down strategy. Everyone has to know the gameplay, right? We talk about football. Everyone has to understand what the playbook is, right? And the playbook comes from the coach. So that's a top-down strategy. Everybody has to know their role. Everybody has to know where to be and how it aligns with the overall objective of the team winning or the company winning, right? We talk about players in football, baseball, basketball. It's no different than the players in a company. The players on a professional team get paid. The players in a company get paid. Now, they're not playing the same way, but they really are. I've always said to you that life is about creatively playing. When we learn how to creatively play, we create magic. You guys definitely want to check out a video that I produced a few years ago about the whole thing about bubbles. And I used it when I talked about the letter I, when I was doing motivation. I used to do it like it was sponsored by different letters. Then I changed that theory a while back and just kind of came up with concepts. So I sponsored it by the letter I, and I said, you have eyes for imagination, use your imagination. And I took this great big container of bubbles, not the dollar store one, but the real big one, but the one that was, really good bubbles. And I explained to people that this is what you need to do. You need to play like you were when you were a kid. That's the magic. When you can play like you were when you were a kid, things just evolve. Things just happen in your life. That's right. I said things just happen. And the reason they happen is because you're not working. You're playing. Now, people say to me, John, how can you play and make money? Well, you can when you learn how to creatively play and create from within. There are no limits. There's abundance all around you. And so when we have the mindset that we can creatively play every day, I think that really changes who we are, the dynamic of what we can do. And it lets us see that we as human beings are limitless and there's nothing we can't do. It's just we have to get into that mindset of how do we become that. And so becoming that might take a little bit of practice. All right. We have to understand that implementation is important in a top-down strategy. Okay. It'll involve a lot of coordination and project management to ensure that different parts of the organization are working in sync. Have you ever been part of maybe a picnic or maybe been part of a field day at your company? Well, if everything's done well, it comes off without a hitch. But there's so many hours about what's going on, who's going here, or maybe even a simple picnic that you run, right? And maybe I'm not talking about 5 people, I'm talking about your whole family. Maybe your family has 20, 30, 40 people, or you're doing a block party. Like, well, we all can't bring marshmallows. We all can't bring potato salad, right? We have to organize things. And we start to understand, or we all can't bring chocolate cake, right? We all can't bring hot dogs. We all can't bring buns. We all can't bring, for lack of a term, we all can't bring sloppy joes. We have to bring different things. And when we do that, it's orchestrated in such a way that we have a dichotomy, and then we enjoy ourselves at the party. All right. We have to understand that we have to monitor and adjust. That's right. Monitor and adjust. This is hard for a lot of people to grapple. I mean, a lot of people, they have a hard time understanding what it means to actually be part of a monitoring process. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't do it, but there are things you have to understand. And if you don't do it correctly, then guess what? You just will not go anywhere, and you're going to become frustrated. What happens if you're working at your job or a task, and suddenly you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, can't do that, can't do anything? And well, what can I do? And you drive yourself to frustration because you don't know what you can do. And so you literally stop. And somebody says, okay, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, but you can do this as long as it's with this and this. And you're looking at people and you're like, huh? And so, well, if I did that, how's it even going to make sense? Because if I do that, that has to coexist with this. Well, no, it doesn't. Well, yeah, it's the only way I know it has to exist. It's kind of like saying, we're going to have popcorn, but we're not going to have drinks. Now, this makes no sense, but I'm just saying you're allowed to have popcorn at the party, but you can't have any drinks. And I don't just mean alcoholic drinks. I mean no drinks, no water, no nothing, just popcorn. That concept's not going to float very well, right? People are going to really be, hitting at the bat saying, this is not right. This is not fair. We all need to have a drink. And finally, the rule changes. But the rule doesn't change overnight. It takes time for people to adapt to the fact that, hey, we set a lousy rule. We set a very bad rule. Remember that strategic planning, ladies and gentlemen, is key to a complex process. And often it requires much analysis, brainstorming, decision-making, and this process goes back and forth. We like to call it going back to the drawing board. Now, there's some companies that have implemented a top-down strategy, and they've been successful while others have not. Apple, the company, is famous for its top-down approach to innovation and design. And Steve Jobs, when he was there, set the overarching vision and strategy, and then each division within Apple would implement this vision in their work, right? Is that pretty cool? Tell me yes, tell me no. The whole thing, they create these hypes, just like when Steve Jobs was at the Apple store in New York and people were waiting. I didn't need to go see Steve Jobs. I just went and ordered my phone online. So they create these hypes, right? So, Steve Jobs set the overarching vision strategy that each division within Apple would implement this vision in their work. And this has resulted in strong, unified brand and a highly coordinated set of products in terms of design, functionality, and user experience. But the thing is, it still is not perfect. It still has challenges, unfortunately. And you might be saying, well, who else? Well, we got Amazon. Amazon, the company, moving to cloud services, the Amazon Web Services, and with Jeff Bezos, you remember that? Microsoft, to shift toward a mobile-first, cloud-first strategy under the leadership of Satya Nadella. Tesla, under Elon Musk's leadership. Tesla's pursued a top-down strategy in the electric vehicle market. Tesla started by producing high-end, expensive electric cars to establish the brand and then moved toward producing more affordable models. Starbucks, Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, drove the vision of Starbucks being the third place, a location between work and home where people could relax and enjoy their coffee. And the vision was implemented throughout the company, influencing everything from the store design to customer service strategy. and Starbucks business model and supply chain analysis that they keep reviewing. So in all these cases, top-down strategies were used to drive results by the visionary leaders who set the direction for the companies, and the strategy was then implemented throughout the organization to achieve desired goals. But I have to tell you something: you cannot expect to just, come up with a strategy and just implement it. Like it just doesn't work. You have to be relentless in your vision, in what you see. You have to really see and know and feel where your company's going. If you don't do that, ladies and gentlemen, you're just going to have a bunch of people that are going to be lost. So if you're the leader of your ship, you got to be a captain. If you're the leader of your plane, you got to be a captain. You can't be like a pseudo captain, because in leadership, ladies and gentlemen, pseudo doesn't work. Or what I mean by pseudo is like partial or part-time doesn't work. You got to be committed in what you're doing every single day. From your perspective, when you get up every morning, from their perspective, it all has to transform. I mean, this is just so key. I can't tell you how key this is. All right, guys. It has been an amazing privilege. I'm sure you know, a pleasure and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. I hope you will definitely check all the great content out that we have, because we have a lot at believemeachieve.com. Click on that PayPal link, make the choice, buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or how about a scrumptious bowl of yummy desserts? Either way, we're going to be grateful. Those pennies and dollars will investments into hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational content to empower you to have an outstanding life. So who am I, ladies and gentlemen? If you don't know by now, I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am a podcast host and a podcast coach. And I'm a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. I love to help companies find their story, but I want to do it with truth. So I'll either take the story that they know already, or I'll come up with a story, but it's based on their truth that I find from the true core. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing rest of your evening. You know what? I'm going to actually catch you tomorrow. So have yourself a wonderful night, and we have a great new subtopic coming up tomorrow, so stay tuned.